So beautiful. Look at this.
The way you moved it.
So weird. The effect's not quite the same on film. So we're on our way in a snowstorm to go try to find someone that's lost in the woods. You'll say a prayer.
John 15:13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man should lay down his life for his friend. Father, we thank you. We always thank you. We're so grateful that we have the opportunity to be here and that you take care of us the way that you do. We thank you for taking care of those that we love, those that are joining us here, those that will view this in the future. We thank you for the messages received, and we thank you for giving people the eyes to see and the ears to hear. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm Lead Tracker E, and this is Jerry Lead Horse Williams. We have 4 Facebook group pages: the Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, WOMB, MAN, and Sun Center and Database, the Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, Antlers in Surrounding Areas, the Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path, and the Lead Tracker E page. And then also here on YouTube, we have the Lead Tracker E channel, which is an accompanying channel to this. Tonight's presentation would also be good in a series that's on that channel, the Standing Feather Stories, but more people will view it here. So we're putting it here first, and then we'll download it to the playlist on that channel. But please do go subscribe to that channel as well. We've got it up to 665, so it is growing, but very slowly. Like and subscribe. We're already having some internet issues. This is a message that the powers that be don't want to get out, so we expect there to be some issues tonight. But thank you, Lord, for getting this out.
Getting this far.
And thank you for being here. We have our book, The Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path, by Jerry Williams and myself, and also the Spanish translation of it, which is recently out. Those are both available on Amazon for $25 each. And if you go there and read the reviews, you'll understand why it's an important book.
Almost back.
We also have, he's getting it back loaded up. We also have you can get an autographed copy from us, and we only charge $5 extra for the shipping. If you'd rather do it that way and order directly through us, our information is in the description box if you'd like to support the channel. And we thank you very much for those that do. We have our documentary, the Bigfoot documentary. It's one of a kind. We've never seen another like it. We present information that nobody else is giving you. Right now we have a sale where you can get one of these 2 versions of our book.
Either or,
and the DVD. So one book and the DVD for $55. That's less than half price for when you consider all of it.
And the shipping and handling, so it goes down further. So.
Yeah. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, the Tracking Miracle, or the Standing Feather Stories, and which I just explained. That's the stories, and you'll hear some of those tonight. That's Jerry's journeys, and he was the last man standing at Standing Rock. That's one of the things that will come up tonight. And this is stories of how the knowledge is gained, how the journeys to get here to this point, to everything that we teach you in this book, how we got here. So what else?
Did you do the Tracking Miracles?
Yes, in the Tracking
Okay.
Miracles and Encounters. That is where we talk about God's divine intervention and divine orchestration. We want to give him acknowledgement. That's a series on the Lead Tracker ePay channel. And those are some really good stories. Go listen to that playlist. And when time presents, we do have some more stories to share there. The days are just too short.
Also, well, we don't have it in the descriptions tonight, but if you'd like to become a Patreon member, we will put this in the link afterwards. This is kind of a one that we just wanted to share today because of the day and tell some history that a lot of people don't know of, that was never taught. And we're going to cover a lot tonight, but if you'd like to become a Patreon member, or we do have, I think we have the Cash App that's in tonight. We are also doing a small fundraiser for an upcoming event for the Tracker Meet and Greet. So, and that would just like to have a Cash App sent if you are able to, because the super chats help us out quite a bit, but that's also from the next month is whenever we get the super chats from. For everything that's happened this month, it's always next month. And so we're having if you'd like to help out with the Tracker Meet and Greet, food, supplies, and gas and oil and things like that.
It's not just a meet and greet. It's a training session. Our
Yeah.
trackers don't charge anything for going out and teaching people. We don't charge
Yeah.
for going out and teaching people what to look for and how to avoid these predators, how to deter these predators, how to recognize when they're in the area. They're coming from far away to get here, and we want to be able to feed them.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sitting too high.
And
like
so that's why.
Yeah,
We're not charging them anything for the training. This is just we are meeting and greeting each other and getting to know each other in person, personally, face to face. But also the real purpose of it is to further the training.
hands-on kind of training.
Yeah.
And we understand they're coming. Some of them are coming a long way, and we don't want to burden them in any more ways than what they're having to already do to get here, to get here.
So that they can teach the people in their areas what's going on.
And this will happen every year, every class. Hopefully we can have at least 2 classes a year. Hopefully. Right now we're only having 1. But if you're in that tracking course for this one, you understand the importance, you understand the knowledge that is shared for this tracking course.
Now that's an online tracking course,
Yeah.
and that the students do pay for that course, but they get fair exchange for sure.
Yeah, and you'll never find, or will never find, information like what we teach in the tracking course.
So the students that get through that course, and we feel that they would be a good fit, we see that they would be a good fit to represent the team and to teach others correctly and completely, then they will be invited to be a part of our team, which is growing. And then they'll have a month to decide if we're a good fit for them also. So it'll have to work both ways so that it's just a smooth thing, so that we can.
And that also gives that 1 month also gives the candidate who we would like to join as a tracker, as part of the team. That will give them a month to work things out with their family, and because we're going to meet at least once a week. Lots of information we share with each other that we don't share here openly, but we do in the tracker meetings and things like that. So this gives them time to decide if they really want to be a part of it, because we do need those trackers there every week so we can get that information. And we do understand certain circumstances, but you can still track if you have to be somewhere else, even if it's a wedding or something like that. You can still be looking at those wood lines. You can still be gathering information from another area that you're not generally
Usually,
in.
yeah.
So all that information is gathered and sent back, and then we share that information. Sometimes we'll have a tracker on who's not on the team, but sometimes they'll come on and we'll do a live stream with them so that they can present their field work
Experiences.
and things that are going on in
Knowledge,
their
yeah.
area. We've got some people who are new to all this information, but we also have trackers who's been with us for 3, 4, 5 years, who are still, they're not on the team, but they're still going through and all the information and helping in their areas, and they gather information and send it to us. We do appreciate all of y'all out there for sending us the information.
We've got over 500 videos just on this channel, and not one of those videos is just fluff. Every single one is something to learn from. And then we also have all our live streams. And then also on the Lead Tracker E channel too, and then our Facebook posts. Everything we do is to educate people.
Just like tonight. So also we do answer comments and questions, but we answer those at the end of the session, the lesson, the interview, or what we are talking about that night, and about the topic that we're talking about during the stream. Let's not, like if we're talking about certain tracking techniques or something, let's not talk about frequencies or have a question about that or have a question about Dogman or something like that. Just what we're talking about, because we do have other streams, over 500 videos of other things, frequencies, Dogman, hybrids, DNA, things like that. But we prefer to answer the questions that has to do with the topic. And also for new people, try not to start a conversation. We understand saying hi to each other. We like people saying hi to each other. But while we're giving the presentation or talking about certain things, and there are some interviews and some things like that where we're going to start, like tonight, I think it's going to be kind of open.
Yeah, tonight we'll have a little more leeway. Usually we're very strict in the chat, just to keep you focused so you're not passing notes in class kind of thing, right? Yeah. Distracting from information that can be life-saving information. But tonight we will ask a few questions of y'all, and there'll be a little bit more engagement during tonight's stream.
Yeah. Like right after this, we're going to do the comments, see who's all here, say hello to everybody, and then we're going to start. But I think tonight we're going to have just a little leadway. So monitors, hold back just a little bit tonight. Usually if people start
conversation starters,
we want them out of the room. But tonight it's going to be a little bit of a leadway.
We have had where we would teach information one night, and then was it the next day or very shortly after that, one of the people that listened and learned, it saved a life, two lives.
Yeah.
Right after that. So
actually 4.
Well, yeah, if you count the 2 that, yeah, that's true.
And if people took it more serious, it would have saved more.
Yeah.
But
if they had been distracted by side conversations and missed just the little nuggets of information, it could have been an entirely different outcome. So that's why it seems like we're hard sometimes, but this is why. It's for a reason.
And it's very important that everyone gets the information. And if you're distracting them, they may be reading your comment instead of listening to what we said that they needed at that time. So let's just hold it down. But tonight we're going to have just a little bit.
Yeah, a little more freedom. And we're going to try to more often, because we love talking with y'all too. We want to make a good effort to more often carve out the time to be able just to have an open streams where we can engage with each other more, have a better conversation with you.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Okay, let's see who's all here. Let's say hello, and then we'll get started. And we got.
If you see us swishing every now and then, there's one gnat that's been in here all day, aggravating. So
Aggravating.
you might hear a pop in the what do you call it?
The bug zapper.
In the bug zapper.
And we do
in the
recommend
wild.
you getting the bug zapper.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes when that bug zapper goes off, that just means that there was something here that we didn't see.
Yeah.
And
But tonight we know there's one in here.
there is
and
one
hopefully it finds its way
somewhere.
over to the zapper.
Yeah, hopefully it'll find its way. Let's see who's all here. Tracker Lorna is a very first
Lorna.
one.
And Tracker Lorna is, we're going to have an interview with her soon. She just spent some time up in, can we say where? In the far north. And we want to hear all about it. She is one of our trackers. And we want to hear everything that happened.
And so expect glitches tonight because this is information and this is some history and some things like that that nobody really knew about or was given in the public school system. Even when I clicked onto Lorna's name here, it took 3 clicks, and we've already seen a glitch on there. So if it even just shuts all down, expect it because a lot of this information is not supposed to be out.
And so we'll just keep trying to get back in. So if that happens, be patient. You may have to log back in. Also check your likes and your subs because the more it's just that simple. The more likes you get, the more they'll push it out.
I think
Maybe not certain presentations, but in general, they're all about making their money. So you think that what?
Oh, I think we're the only channel where if you're a viewer, you get the glitchy stuff
A
too.
lot. We've been told that a lot.
Yeah.
That people would say they don't have trouble with other channels, but with ours we do. And that's not talking about if we're out trying to do a live stream.
Yeah.
If we're in the woods and there's a thick canopy, we lose signal. And so we put up one recently. It was very hard to hear and it was very glitchy. That's why we don't do a lot of in the field, out in the woods live streams.
So, but we like people
Very heavy canopy.
seeing what we're doing and how we're tracking things like that. But we also carry a GoPro and other things. And when we come back in, we try to put that together for you so that you get a clearer picture and see what we're doing. But
and really, it's safer anyway if we're not live streaming while we're tracking because then we're distracted and we can.
Yeah, even when we were doing the tracking yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
I had to deal with the phone while I'm trying to look at the tracks, and I'm trying not to lose the track.
Yeah.
And it was complicated, but we got through it. So JR is here.
Hey, JR.
All right. Joyce is here.
Blessings to you.
Blessings to you, Joyce. Truth Walker.
Hey, Truth
All
Walker.
right. Truth Walker.
There's Nathan.
Wow, Nathan.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Nathan. And Nathan also is I would say a historian. He does like to do his fact checking and going through history and researching. So you may enjoy this really well tonight.
I think every regular on here is like that.
Yeah, I
also,
do too.
Not your average people.
Not your average.
Rosalinda, welcome.
Rosalinda, all right.
She says, I love your channel. God bless. God bless you too, Rosalinda.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful name.
Sure is.
Truth Walker has her orange on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tracker A.
Hey, Tracker A.
Oh my goodness. Some of these trackers that we're talking about, they're not on the team per se, but they've been with us for a while and
they've seen all the videos and live streams and private conversations.
And we would like to just put them on the team, but we want to make sure everyone has the same information, the same knowledge, so that we all know what we're saying and what we're doing, and without even having to
all on the same page.
Yeah, so we use our hand signs and things like that. We all know when we're doing our grid searches. Not grid searches, but our grid work. We all know what we're talking about. Like if what we say, like 990872, things like that. We would know exactly what each other are talking about. So, Tracker A, we are so glad you're here today.
And if you look in the playlist, if it's not on this channel, it's on the Lead Tracker E channel, and it says interviews, and that you'll see Tracker A's some of her interviews.
Mm-hmm. and some good field work that she's doing.
Yeah.
Tracker B is another one. Scott Slav,
Mhm.
another good person who is very important to the team, not officially on the team, but is a part of the tracking team family, I guess you would say. But
Extended.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like Tracker A is in the course right now, and once you get completed with that, we of course we already welcome you with open arms, but that's still going to be your decision if we're the right fit and if you want to join that team. But we want to thank you for being a part of that.
Christian, saludos.
Christian, saludos, bendiciones.
Yeah.
Hey, like that.
Mariela.
Mariela Bustos.
Hola.
Saludos para todos
From
ustedes
Uruguay.
de Sede Uruguay. All right.
Jody, thank you. Don't know what we'd do without you, Jody.
Thank you, Jody. And can we say?
If anybody's in the class and they want to volunteer that they're in the class,
you
we're so
volunteer,
smooth. We're
yeah.
smooth.
You were trying to talk like this. It was not, and this does pick up.
We
really
don't know
easy.
who wants to announce they're in the current training class or not.
Because some and the ones didn't want to be acknowledged until after the course, which now they're
Some just because of their
negativity
work or family or abuse from people,
abuse from other channels and things like that.
Yeah, they don't want to say, or just private reasons,
And Tracker Lorna saying hello to everybody. CT.
Hey, CT.
All right.
CT helped along with Jose and Tanya to translate this book, and we sure appreciate you.
And this book is done, and
we'll have a book signing for this one, soon with Jose and Tanya and CT, and we'll get it set up.
And
so
we got one for you. I mean, not yet,
people.
But whenever we get the new ones in, CT, we're going to sign this to you on air and everything when we have that book signing with Jose and Tanya, who are going to be here with us, and we actually seen them this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen the track, and we did not track with them, some areas that we hadn't been in before, but we had to go through there to clear everything before the meet and greet, because we are going to be taking some trackers in some areas that we just want to make sure they're safe before the rest of the trackers come in, because we just want to know the territory. And there's going to be a place or two that we're going to have to be very cautious, work as a team, and everybody be in their positions when we do a couple of things. We're going to be as safe as we can, but of course, out in the field, things can happen at any time. So, but we're going to try. I don't think we're going to go live because of the glitching.
Yeah.
But we're going to come back into video, and hopefully we can.
I don't know. Our Wi-Fi just doesn't work out there with that heavy canopy, or if we get too far out here, we just don't get the signal. It's too glitchy. So it's frustrating for you because we can't tell. It looks perfect from our side. We can still see. We can't tell what you're seeing on your side. Yeah. So we don't know what happened until we get all the way back here and look at it, and then we go.
And I just remembered we have a solar battery. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be taking some extra batteries with us when the trackers get in. But
as much as we can live stream, where we can live stream, we will.
So thank you, Jody. Thank you, CT. You're so great. Tracker A, and I wish Tracker B was in here every now and then more, but she's very busy and has.
Tracker B did send a message that she just saw last night where we went, and you'll see her in the interviews too, but at the house that had the flickering lights down the street from her, and this is up in the middle of the town, that she just saw a huge Bigfoot again. But this one was bigger than the normal that she has seen in that area. Very shaggy, and
there's
it's just like right around the corner in a neighborhood.
In a neighborhood
with the
other
kids
houses
across the street. Yeah.
Their dog had the child across the street actually seen the Bigfoot take their dog from over the fence and depart with it, and the parent come out and the young person, oh, thumbs up, that was me accidentally, but the young child had said a big monkey man had taken the dog. I mean, over the fence, took the dog. The parent didn't believe them at the time, but knows Tracker Beef, who was living across the road, I mean, across the street, like, you know, 50 yards. And she had been saying, there's things out here, be careful, lock your pets up, or, I mean, not lock them up, but secure your pets, keep them in, because there's some things out here. So she just sent us another report of another huge predator Bigfoot in the neighborhood again, which there's always more than one. But at least she's using the techniques and the training that she has. She has the book, I think, and the DVD. So she is doing what she can in that area. The neighborhood, the people used to laugh.
She's known around there as the Bigfoot lady, but they used to say it in a mocking way. But now people are going to her for help, and now they want to find the Bigfoot lady because they're getting frightened.
And a lot of bad things have already happened in that area.
Yes, you'll see that in one of the interviews, and also we talk about it in the 3-part series, the Indians Talk Bigfoot, or what the Indians say about Bigfoot. We can never remember the title of it, but it was a 3-part meeting that we had, and that's in the playlist, either here or on the Lead Tracker channel. And one young man there did not heed their warnings. He came to visit their family. The family all went to work, and he wandered off into the woods, and it ended very, very badly for him. He's still struggling to an extreme degree with what happened to him that night.
Yeah. So, and we can't be everywhere at one time. So this is what we use as a teaching tool to help everyone. If you listen, heed the advice, not advice, the experience, I would say, because we know these techniques work to deter, and we're just trying to help you get these things away from you, even though it's going to fall on the neighbors and they're going to be bothered more. If they're not going to listen to you, they're going to find out their way instead of preparing before and not have that happen.
Think of this book as a textbook, and it literally is a textbook in our class, even though we cover a lot of other things too. But it tells you exactly what you need to do. And the people that pick and choose and do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then this person's advice and that person's advice, they're not getting the results of the people that are sticking to the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. So they're still struggling and having problems, or even giving bad advice. We'd rather you read the book and didn't talk to anybody at all. If you're going to read the book and say, I read this book, get this book, and here's the knowledge, and you give a lot of good knowledge, but then you give your own guesses and bad knowledge or disinformation pulled from other channels.
Who don't have this information.
That confuses people. We don't want people thinking that came from us. We're not saying holler at the Bigfoots. We're saying just the opposite. So if you're going to represent us, we appreciate it, but don't if you're going to not do it correctly.
Yeah. Because
some people know just enough to become dangerous to others, to get them into a situation. I don't know any clearer way to explain that.
Let's see.
Jamie
is here. All right. I think you were with Jose and Tanya during the live stream the other night.
Hi, Jamie.
Good seeing you.
Kelly's back. Hey,
Kelly. The Most High, child of the Most High.
Good evening. Jumping in quick while on a break at work. Thank you for all you do.
Hey, all right.
Glad you're here.
Hello to everybody. Look at that. War Chief is
Kelly's
here.
got orange scrubs on today. Yay,
Oh,
good.
job,
Thank you.
Kelly. This is what we're going to be talking about today.
There's War Chief. I was about to text you, War Chief, if we didn't see your name soon. Glad
Oh,
you're here.
yeah.
Kalito.
Everybody saying hello to each other. CT saying que bien, Jerry, which is very good. Everybody saying hello to War Chief. Joyce is saying.
Joyce says, I'm proud to say I'm taking your course. Joyce, we are proud to have you in this course.
Yeah, Joyce.
Quality individual.
Quality people. And it's
Very
not about
intelligent
quantity.
woman.
It's about quality. Jody.
Mariella, did we say hi to Mariella?
I think. Did we? I don't know. Let's look. Let's say hello again.
Hola, Mariella.
Hola, okay. Siti gracias. Mariela. Bienvenido. Jody.
Jody says, good evening, such an amazing group, and not. And what?
Everyone I am.
To everyone I am. Good evening, Jody.
We're trying to read that. No,
I think something got lost in translation. Oh, okay. She's proud to tell everyone she's a tracker in training. Oh, good.
Okay.
You know, because we covered that really well when we almost slipped, didn't we?
Yeah, it was basically already said that.
They know. Okay.
You think they know? You think they know? But it is a one of a kind course. You won't find this information anywhere else, and it's just we want you to know everything and not be fooled. Just like tonight, we're going to be sharing information that a lot of people don't know. So we're glad everyone is here. And Jody is talking. She said, "Joyce, you're right to be proud." Yeah, we're so happy to have you on that course. Jamie says, yes, that she
was good. She was there.
With Tanya and Jose.
War Chief has his orange clothing on today as well.
All
Great.
right. Thank y'all so much.
Hola, Doris.
Hola, Doris. Saludos.
Always good to see your name in there.
Sure is. Look who came in the door. Kick the door down. Look at him.
And there's Bob. Hey, Bob.
Bob. All right. And Doris is talking about how well my Spanish is. I was watching Jose and Tanya's, and some guy named Victor, he said, I need a translator. And I said, no, I don't. I said, my friends understand me. And there was actually one time when we first met, Jose and Tanya, that we were doing an interview with them, and I was speaking Spanish, and Jose was looking at me. He turned around, he goes, I'll translate. Said,
I'll translate the Spanish to
what?
Spanish.
What? My Spanish. Habla. CT is having like.
CT is wonderful about translating for the Spanish-speaking people so that everybody can be more safe.
And she helped out with this book.
So hard. On top of, I think she's got like 15 jobs.
And the things that
she's always working.
Other things that she's doing, she's such a blessing to have.
Tracker A also has orange on today.
All right.
Good. And we'll explain what the orange is about.
Yeah. And everybody's saying hello to Doris and Christian. All right. So tonight we are in remembrance of the residential school survivors, but this goes back further than just the residential schools. Things happen to get the Native people in that situation. And when we go back in history, we look at, and I know there's going to be a lot of things that's going to contradict what is read in that high school history book. And if you understand the education that is in those high school history books, you'll understand that they were rewritten and kind of put in a certain way to not tell the truth, but kind of give you a dominance or an overlook of of what actually happened. So those history books we're going to collide with because it's not the truth. Now, does ever we're going to ask this question, and if anybody knows, we're going to give more information in just a minute. But does anyone know Queen Isabella in 1490 and 1491? Queen Isabella from Spain, a powerful lady at that time. But we're wanting to know if anyone knows about Queen Isabella and what happened in 1491 with her.
Excuse me.
And we'll give everybody just a few seconds because this is getting up to why the orange is being worn. And this is actually a solstice ribbon shirt. This is the sun, the solstice. This is the center coming in. I made this a long time ago. The pattern, I picked everything out, had it all put together for a ceremony. And I'm going to be showing actually a couple other ribbon shirts that I gifted some young men, some young warriors. Julie says, was she and her sister kidnapped? No, she was assassinated in 1491.
Welcome, Julie.
War Chief says she sent Columbus on his journey west, I believe. Almost. It's the same ballpark. Because there was, in Europe, they're known as, there's the white tribes of Europe and there's the white clans of Europe. The white clans of Europe could hold title to land, but there were like renegade cannibalistic people, and those were called the white tribes of Europe. Now there's two different kinds. There's the white clans and the white tribes. The white clans can hold title and had a structure. The white tribes were more like renegade kind of scavengers, but they couldn't hold title, even though they had a large amount of people at that time. JR says finance Columbus and cruise. It's all kind of in the same ballpark. Let's see. Lead Tracker E says she issued an order for the Indians to be taught Christianity. I'm sorry, Tracker A. Taught Christianity and condemned them. We're all on this. We're all on that same area. White tribe, like a tribe, and a white clan, like CLAN, clan members. And Jamie says that she sent conquistadors to America. Now, in 1491, yeah, 1491. I don't think that's correct. But 1491, Queen Isabella was assassinated. She would not give title to the white tribes, to the cannibalistic tribes. So, in 1491, she was assassinated. She was killed. They raised a king who sold a title over to the white tribes. These were invaders. These were cannibalistic people. And of course, this one says that the dates are wrong, and also that it was a natural cause of death. But that's wrong also. So again, history is written to tell us a different story than what actually happened. All the information I'm sharing comes from illegal, an international advisor. And the international advisor is the only person that an Indian can use in a court system. When an Indian gets charged with any kind of uh, crime, which is a habeas corpus, an Indian can't be charged for anything less than that to be in a court system, because the court system is a foreign court system to the Indian people here. So you have to have an international advisor only to advise you, not to represent you. If you get an attorney or an Indian gets an attorney, that's a death sentence because you become a ward of the state. And if you become a ward of the state, a ward of the state means that you're feeble minded and you cannot speak for yourself. All the lawyers, all the judges, all in that predator system talk. They go to golf, they have lunch together. They're talk while you're sitting in jail. They're talking or laughing about how much money they can get from you, how long they're going to keep you in there, if they're going to let you out,
Both sides.
because they're making money. Uh, and I was in one court system, observing a lot of things, and when it was break time, all the attorneys and the judges, they all went to this special restaurant where only they could eat, and they were all in there together, talking and mingling and doing this. So we know that once you become a ward of the state, you're sunk. It's a death sentence for, especially for an Indian. That's the court system is an illegal foreign court system here in the United States, is what people know it now. And of course, this is also information that a lot of people don't have. But also, there's going to be a free attorney in that court system, and they'll say, "We'll give you a free attorney over here," but they're just trying to get you under, and for you to become a ward of the state. They don't mind having a free attorney for you, because once you accept that free attorney, that's your death sentence. Now you gave your right to speak for yourself. And they're there. I guarantee you, they're there. I've seen them. I've seen it done many times to people. So be careful when you're in those systems.
Would this be a good time to explain about the understand?
Oh, also that too. Yeah. Now, also, just a real quick thing that if you're ever in a court system and the judge is reading off that list that says, "Do you understand the nature and cause of the charges?" The word understand means to stand under that predator system. You're putting yourself you're under them. They're standing on you. Now they're above you. If you say, "Yes, I understand the charges," boom, they're standing on top of you and they've got you. Now they got you into a contract, but you became the slave. You became the person who they're going to judge because you just gave them permission by saying, "Yes, I understand." So watch that word also. There's trickery in these words, especially in what they're called Black's Law. Now, when in 1491, when Queen Isabella was murdered, she didn't die of natural causes. She was murdered. The king sold rights and land title to some of the white tribes of Europe. So this also, now these they don't have a home really. They're just scavengers that are going from place to place. So now with that title, they're bringing it to the Vatican. And that Vatican is saying, "Well, if you're going to go over, if you want to go over and take land, then we want to sanction you. We want to be the beneficiaries. We want to profit off of what you're going to go do. So we're going to give you funds. We're going to give you a military to help out. And the title of that military group is called Christopher Columbus. And I know everybody's going to say it's a person, but it's actually a title. And this title has been used in Ireland to rid the snakes. Again, I know that what the history books have told us, but all this information is coming from an international advisor who has went through those Columbus journals, which a majority of the people didn't even know about the Columbus journals. So all this information may sound new. It's going to contradict because this truth is not being told. Now, let me see where it was. So after Columbus was um, authorized by title by the Vatican to come to these lands to rape and pillage, they're also bringing cannibals of the white tribes. And these are cannibalistic people. But um, also, there's an inquisition going on. Oh, did we have something to read about Queen Isabella and the cannibals? I think we did. So there's and here, which we're going to call United States for right now, that we traded with the people from China. We traded. There was Vikings here before Europeans arrived here, before the Vatican, before Columbus. We were trading with people. We had an abundance. There still is an abundance here, but it's being, uh, I guess, forced so that we don't have our own abundance. But we were trading with people from all over the world. People came, people went. As long as people came here and were peaceful and left peaceful, they could come back. We could trade. It was never a problem. There was an abundance here. People from out of the world brought silks, trinkets, and things like that, other things for food, for supplies, and things like that, or on their routes would stop. And we would trade. It wasn't a big deal as long as people were peaceful. And this is why you're going to find in the stories that we didn't, at those times, need weapons. We didn't need warriors. The abundance was everywhere. The the waters were clean. You could drink from any stream. The fish was plentiful. The berries, the medicines, the natural plant medicines, everything was plentiful. In history, in American history, in the books, they'll tell you that we were warring people before anyone got here, that we were fighting amongst each other, that we were savages, but that's not the truth, especially in some of the journals when they first made contact over here, because they couldn't come in this direction until Queen Isabella was murdered in 1491. 1492, people are showing up with military, with swords, with weaponry, and in those Columbus journals, uh, he writes about how we have museums, we have libraries, we have buildings of education, we had sciences, we had teachers, and people were, if you ever look in some old history, we had mechanical ships, we had um, things that you could use today that would help you in life. If they weren't, there was no battleships being made until we had to go to war, until people came with cannibals who started to eat our people. because they didn't have the foods, and we were backing off because these people are starting to kill us. They're starting to cut us up and starting to eat um, people. You're going to find that in the Payne's doctrine, but majority of information that is out there, you're not even going to find the Payne's doctrine, and that's where that was the first time that the Indians had all got together and started wiping out every person who was not an Indian. And so it came down to, and this also had to do with scalping and things like that, but it came down to the Payne's doctrine when some of the last ones were saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Let's make a deal. Let's talk this out." Um, but this is after all the killing, the raping, and everything happening. That now the Payne's doctrine, there people are wanting to talk now because the Indians had had enough, and they were killing everyone who was not an Indian. So in the Payne's doctrine, it's and the Indians stated, "Quit killing us and quit eating us." Now in the Columbus Journals, it says that the Indians tasted, or they called us the long pig, and said that we tasted like the short pig. There's still cannibalism going on today. So in the Payne's doctrine, if you can find it, it will talk about how this is why fish is eaten on Friday. It's fish on Friday. That's where that comes from. And I don't know if there's a history of why fish is eaten on Friday, but the Payne's doctrine does say that they will not kill Indians anymore, and they will not cut them up and sell them at the markets because people were eating this meat, and most didn't even know what they were eating. They were just saying it's meat, but they were eating humans at that time also.
This is just a short excerpt from, I'll read it in just a second. This is about some court cases. Cherokee Nation versus Georgia in 1831. Marshall reinforced his argument that tribes were not independent states, but were, quote, domestic dependent nations, unquote. Marshall wrote that the relationship of the tribes to the United States resembles that of a ward to its guardian, which goes back to what you were saying about understand. The doctrine of discovery is not just 19th century law in 2005. The Supreme Court cited the doctrine in City of Sherrill, New York versus Oneida Nation. The justices said that under the doctrine of discovery, fee title or ownership to lands occupied by Indians when colonists arrived became vested in the sovereign first, the discovering European nation, and later the original states and the United States. So what we are all to make of this is the Johnson decision remains part of what law schools consider the anti-canon cases that students are taught to criticize. Among the cases are Dred Scott versus Sanford, Plessy versus Ferguson, Lochner versus New York, and Korematsu versus United States. And over time, all of those have been overturned except Johnson. The doctrine of discovery is still the law. The legal history of the United States is connected intrinsically to the development of our civilization and to our social construction. The law makes a statement about our values and our principles as a nation. Justice is blind. Yet do lawmakers try to represent everyone in a society when they fashion the law or use the law as a tool to favor one group over another in the name of equality and fairness? And when you fail to recognize injustice, do we work to change the law? Do our laws protect the intrinsic dignity of everyone of everyone? In 2016, 500 clergy denounced the doctrine of discovery at the Standing Rock Pipeline protests, and other groups from around the country have also called for the renunciation of the doctrine. One law professor said the doctrine of discovery was, quote, rooted in a Eurocentric view of the inferiority of the Indian people, and, quote, yet what was established in 1455 by a pope remains the law of our land even today. And then Canada also. took up that law.
So the doctrine of discovery is as illegal as you could possibly get. Written by someone to have some right to something someone else had. That's illegal all the way. And as you can see, there has never been an Indian signature on title or land deeds. If you look at any title or any land deed, it's written by the United States, which is a corporation, a military corporation. It's the Indians didn't sign any land over or give title to land. Now, there are stories where people have sold, I think, Manhattan for a couple of trinkets and some beads. But the Iroquois in that area says, no, that's a lie, that they still own that area. And they're still in, to this day, a conflict because the Indians said, no, that's not true. But these laws that people had put in place is to take by force. Just like there is no such thing as eminent domain.
The definition of eminent domain is defined in Black's Law Dictionary as the inherent power of a governmental entity to take privately owned property, especially land, and convert it to public use, subject to reasonable compensation for taking. And when you try to look up Black's Law Dictionary on the internet now, you can't ever go straight to it. Only one thing comes up, and it gives you a warning that basically this may be corrupt. You're going to have trouble if you get into this site, kind of thing. So if you can get your hands on an actual copy of the Black's Law Dictionary, do that, because that's the one that they're going by.
And the Black's Law Dictionary is a military dictionary for the court system. It's not a legal dictionary, but if you're tricked into getting into that court system, you fall under Black's Law Dictionary. The Supreme Court is a Bouvier dictionary, but the Black's Law Dictionary is a military court. There are no courts of law. There are only courts of contracts. There are courts of law, statutes, policies. There's something else.
Ordinances.
Yeah, it's all going to have that stuff. It's not. There are no courts of law. And if you go into any courtroom and it's got a yellow tassel, yellow outline, yellow fringe, that's a military court. And that judge has final say no matter what you think you're doing in that court, because the education system doesn't teach even that the yellow fringe is a military court.
So also known as maritime law.
And maritime law, yes, perfect. But if you're in there and you don't know that, they know that you don't know that. They know the education that a lot of people have. And it's not to teach you how to not be in there. It's taught to capture people. And that's what that predator system is about, to capture and feed upon people. Even making payments to a court system for a fine, they're still feeding. They're still eating. They're still benefiting. They're all accessories to the fact of the fraud. People have said that we were warring people before anyone got here. That's not true. Plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of everything. You don't war with someone if they have as much as you. This isn't keeping up with the Johnsons or whatever. The Joneses. You don't have to do that because they've got plenty. They'll give you whatever you want. You've got plenty. You can give them whatever you want. There's no reason to war. But yeah, if you need fish over here. That's the best spot. Indians still do it today. They'll tell you where the best fishing holes are. They'll share it.
Is this one you read?
Yeah, that one too.
Columbus' diary for the 23rd of November, 1492, recorded eyewitness accounts that the cannibals have one eye on the forehead and the head of a dog. And he added that, I also understand that a long distance from here there are men with one eye and others with dog snouts who eat men.
Also, now Columbus was going back and forth. Now that's a long way to go. You need a food supply. The islands, they would capture people here, chain them up, and take them with them home. It wasn't to show the king, it wasn't to show the Vatican, it was for food, to keep fresh food there. The Vatican would, I mean, the Columbus ships, not just one, but these were ships coming through. They would stop at the islands. I know history, and I know people are going to get upset with this, but there's no such thing as a Tejano Indian. Those were African people who were put there and then mixed with these bloodlines through food also as well. I know Tejano people or get upset about this, but this is a fact. There was no Indians left on those islands after the constant stopping, and they would stop and capture people, cook them and eat them, or pack them up and take them and stop there again, and stop there again, and stop there again, and stop there again.
Like a pantry.
Until that food supply was gone. Then they put other people there, slave people, to start taking up the resources, to start gathering gold, to start gathering wood. The food supply where it was people.
Jamie, yes, Columbus Diary or the Journals of Columbus.
So there's never been title given to anyone to be a authority here. If you look at Washington's picture, a picture of Washington, you're going to see a plow that's under his feet. And if you ever look at a lot of the Masonic pictures of him, there's a plow that's underneath his foot. And that was the Indians who were saying, you can't take up residence here. This is where we live. You can't bring people here, but we can trade. If you need food, that plow, and you're not to go deeper than what that plow allows you. You can plant food. You can, feed your family. You can trade with us. Don't go deeper than that plow. And if you see what's happened ever since, because the people were being killed and eaten also at that time. So, but if you look at that picture, you're going to see that plow underneath Washington's foot. That's what that means. That's what that plow means. You can grow food. You can survive here, get you through winters, whatever. You can trade with us, but don't go deeper than what that plow allows. But when you kill everyone in that area, you tend to think that you can take up a residence and you can expand. The more people you kill, the more land you can possibly attain through the murders. Now, the Payne's doctrine came from the Lakota people, so you can kind of track this back. Also, look at Meredith Quinn, MERITHQUINN. Also, under the Eagle Bow Treaty, you may find Meredith Quinn, but some of those videos that he put out have been taken off of YouTube, has been scrapped. That history is gone. You may be able to find a couple. I think I have one or two on my old Lead Horse Choctaw Facebook page. You may find some of his videos on there. He was an international advisor of the Lakota Nation, and he had stopped the fisheries. The people come in taking the salmon and things like that. They had standoffs at that time. He probably had every bone broke by the government people coming in trying to overrun the people by force to take the fish from the Lakota people. So a lot of the Indians had to take a lot of abuse to try to stop, even legally, um, the encroachment on the lands. And still, there is no title given. So, but if you look at in those areas where the Lakotas are, you're going to see the United States signatures, which is illegal because the Indians didn't give that land. It was taken by force and people were killed. Some people, like even today, they say get over it, that kind of thing. But there's things happening even today, and there's even what this P Diddy guy. He's shot people, he's raped people, multi gang rape people, um,
Trafficking.
trafficking, selling children. Uh, we don't see people saying to those victims who are still alive, who are still going through this. We're not seeing them say telling them to get over it. But a lot of people don't understand that the majority of the people here are not of the royal family. And if you're not part of the royal family, if you're not that bloodline royal family, then you're a slave to them, to the royal family. You're nothing to the royal family. And that goes with border agents, that goes with sheriffs, that goes with state troopers, that goes with any kind of police officer, that goes for any judges, even the Supreme Court. The If you're not their relatives, their bloodline relative, then you're either food or you're a tool that they're going to use to hurt and corral and to capture other people for them. Which one is that?
Meredith and Quinn.
Ah, and Meredith does have some books out there.
So the name is spelled Meredith Quinn, Quinn. One of the books he wrote is The Dakota Proclamation. It says this book was written by an Indian classified by U.S. federal statutes as a savage. It is his journey into the world of law, history, and religion of the white man, his first encounter with the structure of an alien culture. It started with and ended in law.
Now, when this continuation of killing and eating Indians, capturing slave labor, taking our children, that there was another time in history that a lot of people don't know about when the Iroquois Confederacy, which Choctaws were a part of that also at that time, did the same thing, started killing everybody because we were being killed, our children were being taken. The women actually got together and said, kill them all because they're not peaceful people. They're not here to help. They're only here to take. So the Iroquois Confederacy started their killing, and it went all the way down to Florida until another one started cutting deals and saying, we're going to behave. We're going to behave. But again, no title was signed over. So it came to a point where if you're going to be here, you have to be peaceful. You can't kill our people. You can't eat our people. You can't rape our children. You can't take anybody. That was the second time in history that a lot of people don't know when there was almost nobody from any other country or any other part of the world that was going to be here. It was a full out annihilation of all the tribes getting together in those areas and saying, we have to do this because They're killing us. They're eating us. They're raping our children, raping the women and the men. And these things that were going on were not by good people. And most of the history will tell us that it's by cannibals or cannibal people, people who would eat another person. Now, in the Columbus Journals, it also talks about how Columbus was the script writer in the journal saying, even though we have food, even though we have vegetables, even though we have fruits, we cannot stop the men from cannibalism. We cannot stop them from eating these people. And at that time, it was slave labor that they was trying to produce to the Vatican at that time. But they couldn't stop their own people from eating man. Now, again in the journals, it also and history is going to say that the Indians were like you see in the movies, ragged clothing, dirty people, didn't have anything, didn't have. They were idiots and stupid and things like that. But in those Columbus journals, if you read them, it talks about the museums, the language, the arts, the buildings of knowledge. But all those were destroyed. All the important information, you're going to find a lot of the important information in the British Museum. You're going to find the oldest Bible, the oldest Coptic Bible, which is 2,000 years before the first Bible. It sits in the British Museum. There's also a skirt made for the Queen by the skin of the children, of our children. This was all taken by force. Nothing was given. There's no title ever been given. But if you look on titles, you're going to find in deeds, you're going to find the United States on there. That's an illegal document because it's not signed by an Indian person. No title was ever given. The information, all that knowledge was destroyed. It was hidden. And now you have teachers teaching children that the Indians were poor, that the Indians, why would people come here if we were poor and didn't have anything? That we didn't know how to work with nature, not try to destroy nature, to use the leftover bark to make a canoe, to fish with vines. Easy things to do, easy things to make. People make seining nets all the time. Easy way to catch what you need. Growing your own vegetables. Plentiful plants, plentiful flowers. Everything was an abundance.
Good stewards of the land.
Everyone was taught that we were warring with each other, but we didn't have to become warriors or protectors until we were invaded, until that time happened. We had no sicknesses. We had no deformations. We had everything that you would need to live long and healthy lives. You didn't have people trying to steal from you. You didn't have people trying to kill you for to take your land or take an area. There was plenty for everybody. So the tribes didn't war. The tribes didn't fight. There was no point in it when there is an abundance for everyone. You had more than you needed. So you had a lifetime of whatever you needed. You didn't have to pay for water. You didn't have to pay for electricity. And we did have those. We had all of the sciences. We still have those today. Luckily, we still teach those sciences today. Um,
On October 14th, he wrote, "These people are very simple as regards the use of arms, as your highnesses will see from the 7 that I caused to be taken to bring home and learn our language in return, unless your highnesses should order them all to be brought to Castile or to be kept as captives on the same island, for with 50 men they can all be subjugated and made to do what is required of them."
when you have an abundance, when there's no need for war, when there's no need to hurt another person, when everyone lives in peace, we don't have weapons of war. We had to actually get those weapons from the people who brought it to us, who used it against us. We weren't out there trying to make any kind of weapons. We were there, we're still here, living in peace, and we still try to hold that peace. Sometimes we do get pushed further than any man should be.
He says, "They neither carry nor know anything of arms, for I showed them swords, and they took them by the blade and cut themselves through ignorance. They have no iron, their darts being wands without iron, some of them having a fish's tooth at the end."
Working with nature. And of course, we did and still do have iron, copper, zinc, gold, silver. You can still find those deposits here, but we left in the ground. There was no need for it. When you're living and you're living in peace and you've got green pastures, flowers that you can eat, um, plants that are growing naturally, berries, you don't need to try to create something that is going to destroy or hurt or harm the earth. Now, we would say creator at that time. God, the word God didn't come until later, but we understood as creator of everything, of every plant, every tree, every person.
How can you go wrong with that? You know, people fight over the name of God. How can you go wrong with the Creator?
And I think that's the third word in the Bible or something like that.
Was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God.
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know. Something like that, but creator is in there.
He says they brought skeins of cotton thread, parrots, darts, and other small things which would be tedious to recount, and they give us all in exchange for anything that may be given to them. I was attentive and took trouble to ascertain if there was gold. I saw that some of them had a small piece fastened in a hole they have in the nose, and by signs I was able to make out that to the south, or going from the island to the south, there was a king who had great cups full and who possessed a great quantity. I tried to get them to go there, but afterwards I saw that they had no inclination. I resolved to wait until tomorrow in the afternoon and then to depart, shaping a course to the southwest. Greedy.
Yep. So there's plotting already going. It's not the people who came here, they weren't here for peace. They were here to take. They were trying to get information on where they could find certain things. And if there were Indians in that area who said, oh, that's where we live, those were the ones killed. Now they're saying, we're going to use the doctrine of discovery because there's nobody in this area. And that's because people were being killed, they were being eaten. So the doctrine of discovery is a law made up by the lawbreakers to have some, and if they teach this to people and people believe this, then they will use it and they will go with that. There's no such thing as eminent domain. That is made up by a lawbreaker to take what belongs to another person or to another people. So if you hear anybody using these words, these people are programmed and these people are predator minded because they're willing to go hurt. And I'm not saying it's just about Indians. They use that word a lot on people from who are over here now from Europe, people who are from China who are living here now. They're still using those words to take that land or to take that oil reserve or if that gold deposit. It's happening right now in Honduras with Berta Cáceres and the Lenca people. There's um, resources in that area, and they're killing the people right now over there to push them out to take that land. And also, the United States is over there trying to build an airport right where all those resources are with the Honduran coup. It's not a government, it's a coup.
This says natives were regularly whipped for what Columbus considered minor offenses, but stealing a vegetable or animal could result in cutting off their nose, ear, or hand. The offender was sometimes forced to walk around with their severed body part in shame. Columbus took and gifted women to his crewmen who would violently beat and rape them. Pregnant women were taken captive, gave birth to babies who were then sometimes thrown to hungry dogs. Columbus established a business in the sale of 9 and 10-year-old girls for sexual slavery. He also kidnapped and enslaved the Indians themselves, personally initiating the transatlantic slave trade in his voyage back to Europe.
Now, there are Indian people, and we use that term lightly when we talk about our people. We actually say the original people. But if you hear the words like Native American, American Indian, indigenous, those are new words to confuse the Indian from the word original or the word aboriginal. They're trying to confuse the Indians of today to call themselves indigenous. And if you look up the word indigenous and look up the Spanish, it says indigena, which indigena is a subject and has to have permission from the crown. So that's a slave. So when these Indians are running around here going, we're indigenous, they're saying we're slaves. A lot of the Indians today don't even have this history that we're sharing. So the Indians of today who say they're indigenous, don't know what they're talking about. They don't know their history. And if they did, they sure wouldn't be calling themselves a slave. But the residential schools, now there's too many Indians. There's too many Indians to overtake right away. So they're starting to take children. They're starting to steal children by force, by gunpoint, by sword, by knife to take the children, not just for the sexual slave labor, but the saying or the word was kill the Indian and save the man. That means make the Indian forget that the sciences that we teach, the stars that we teach, the true history of the earth that we teach. The Inquisition that was sent by the Vatican over here was to find out if we could understand Arabic because we were trading with the world. There's Arabic tablets that tell this true history. But if you could speak Arabic, or if you're, and then they went after your family, and they would take your children or take our children and take them, and they started building these schools or FEMA camps at that time, which they're making FEMA camps right now. But even the people don't understand that the residential school and the FEMA camps are the same thing. There's people who vote for FEMA camps. There's people who vote to build a border. But people don't understand you're building your own cage. You're voting for your own cage. The people who are forcing you into those FEMA camps, like right now, there's a lot of things going on in North Carolina in those areas. Their FEMA is already there. They're already setting those camps up. There's going to be a lot of missing people.
Using weather warfare to push
yeah.
people into certain areas, herd them into certain areas.
Right before this happened, there was a big pedophile and a human trafficking ring being exposed right in that area that got hit with that catastrophe.
We talked about that last week with the Santa Land. There was judges and doctors.
Judges, doctors, officers, all being named, and now there's no court because the catastrophe just happened. So you're going to start seeing a lot of these people start moving out also. But there's going to be a lot of missing people in this area. A lot of children are going to be taken. Just pay attention to what's going to happen. I've tried to warn that tribe over there, and I've been ignored. I know this is going to happen, and all I can do is share the information. But if they don't want to hear it, there's going to be a lot of children gone, a lot of people gone. They're going to have flyers up pretty soon, missing people, when it didn't have to be, when those children didn't have to be taken. But it's going to happen. And if you pay attention, you're going to see those missing flyers start showing up. So kill the Indian, save the man. That means anyone who knows anything about being an Indian, any knowledge of the history, of the true history, you're to be killed, or they're not going to try to retrain an Indian who has the information. They're going to kill that one. They're going to take the children and start trying to reteach that child to become a predator, to become authoritative predator. And you're going to see that because a lot of these residential school survivors are either on the chief, or they're a chief, they're on the council, they're in a police authoritative position like that.
We would remind you of the term Stockholm Syndrome, which is a psychological disorder that occurs when a victim of a crime identifies with their captor and their agenda.
Residential school survivors are the best trained, and you're going to see that they're in that political judicial system.
They're the ones cutting deals.
Cutting deals, and most of them have their own racism against their own people. They don't even like their own people because of the programming that they've had. So they don't mind selling land. They don't mind letting drug deals come through. They don't mind working with FEMA and things like that. And if your tribe has a FEMA, if you sign that says FEMA can come into your area and you're taking money from FEMA, FEMA has the right to take your entire police force, to put them underneath you.
Gifts with consequences.
Gifts with consequences. So you sold your people out. If you have a FEMA contract, if your tribe has a FEMA contract, you sold your people out. So kill the Indian, save the men. These residential schools were taught to teach Indians to not be an Indian, to not care about nature, to not care about peace, to not care about feeding, caring, helping, to do everything opposite that an Indian would do. And if you ever met some of these people, they don't have this history. They don't have traditional history. They don't have a culture. They don't have ceremonies unless they found it from someone else, unless they borrowed it from some other tribe. They cannot give you any information except for the information they were taught and passed down. And you'll see these residential schools, there'll be villages that are in their own areas, or compact, or out in this area, or way out here. And I've been to some of these areas. I've been to some of these villages, and the education level is the same as the residential schools, and they'll go textbook by textbook. They know how to be a judicial or a political person, and they will be upset with a traditional Indian. They would rather put that traditional Indian in jail, or hurt them, or kill them, murder them to get them out of the way because they only know one way, and that's to be a predator, to try to make themselves feel like a king or above each another when they're of the same people. But that residential school teaches them to hate an Indian, to go against helping the people. More tribal chiefs are of that bloodline. I'm some of the lucky ones who we trained and we taught and we passed down traditions. We passed down ceremonies. But it was all spoken because they would always. I remember saying, don't be sharing this with a lot of people. Don't be telling, that you know this stuff, that you know this and you know that, because you're a problem if you have the true history. You're a problem if you care about your people. You're a problem if you are not going to be on the take. You're a problem if you don't have greed, if you don't have that lust for destruction. You're a problem. And most tribes will tell you, the ones that I've been at with Standing Rock and that chief put me in jail. I was with the Mohawk village. That chief put me in jail. Luckily, I haven't I've been out of this area, but I know that if this one in this area could get their hands on me, I would be in jail for something. And they'll always try to find the littlest thing to try to get the tradition or the culture and the ceremonies out of the way. Most of the the chiefs don't want a traditional council. You won't find an elder council, and that's what we're going to be building once we get in there, because we need to change everything. But we want an elder council with us, so it's not just someone making decisions. It's a whole council, not a tribal council, because the majority of the tribal council are residential school um, of that line, and they've been taught to be a political. They've been taught to be um, to 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 be an authoritative figure, and they're mouthy and they're rude, and they will try to belittle a person, or they'll try to hold something over their head, even like if a an Indian, or we're going to say Indian right now, but if they needed electricity, if they needed water, the tribe would hold that down or hold them down, even though that resources is already authorized for that person to have whatever they need in those situations. They will give you every red tape, every hoop to jump through. Um, they won't tell you what you exactly need in the hopes that you will get discouraged and say, I'm just tired of this, which a lot of people do. And I know a lot of people who has went through that, and that's something we're going to change. But they're the best programmed for the predator system, not for the people. They're not the best for the people. They're the best for that program, which is to take and to hurt and to harm. And they'll have their own kind of police force to force people to do their bidding. And even that force doesn't understand that they're slaves, that they also use it over their head. They say, well, we'll fire you and get someone else. Now that person's out of a job, struggling now, and he also can't get resources that are already allocated for him because the tribe will hold that over them too. That's a predator system. That's a predator society. It's not a society for people. Um, and these chiefs, these councils are racist about their own people. I was on the longest walk in 2008. We was in a Poto going through there, and The person at that time didn't know I was the only Choctaw on that walk, and I was standing close to him when he got a phone call, and he said, "Well, we'll see what we can do." He hung up, and he goes, "Oh, these people just want things all the time, like it's his money, like it's coming out of his pocket." But these are funds set aside for people who need emergency services. But just listening to them and listening to other people tell us that they've been raped by the council, that people are not they're not getting what they need, it's because we're being not only forced but being led by a predator system. And this all comes back from the Vatican, from everything coming over here, instilling this into the schools or the residential schools to kill the Indian and save the man.
One woman says the intention was to assimilate them and steal everything Indian out of them except their blood, make them despise who they are, their culture, and forget their language.
And luckily, we have enough elders and people who kept that and passed it down, mostly through word. Because if you were sharing this kind of stuff back in those days, and probably today, the true information, you're a problem. And the things that they do is get rid of those problems.
Another woman said that went to a boarding school. She cried as she recalled almost being killed as a child when a nun stuffed lye soap down her throat in response to Sanchez praying in her native language.
There's also another story of the Queen coming over, taking 10 children into the woods and never returning with those children. Children getting thrown downstairs and being killed.
That's this queen, the one that just
Yes,
passed.
yeah. We've talked to residential school survivors who has told us that they would come and get the children at night, and all the children were afraid because they knew what was going to happen. And the clergy and all of them, well, the kids are screaming at night, taking them to other rooms, and the children screaming uh, from the other rooms. But all the children knew that they were being raped and beaten.
Another person from a boarding school, she was 78 at the time of this. She said the only thing they didn't do was put us in an oven and gas us. She said, comparing the treatment of Native Americans in the U.S. in the 19th and 20th centuries to the Jewish Holocaust.
There's also the blue hen children. They would wrap rawhide around the children's wrist and tie them together so they wouldn't fight. And that rawhide, that wet rawhide, would tighten and tighten and tighten, and their hands would turn blue. And there's actual photos of multiple children with blue hands.
Another woman says, I thought there was no God, just torture and hatred, as she talked about how she was treated in the boarding school.
There's no education in the residential schools. It's only programming so that the Indian that they allow to live, but they're also going through the rape and torture. But those are the ones that they're going to put in authoritative positions because they know what's going to happen to them if they don't do what they're told. So today we're talking about this because a lot of people don't know this history. There was some young men who I was on a protection detail of a friend because their life was under threat. So I asked a couple of warriors to help me protect this person while they were in the area. They said, "We'll help you, but do you know that there's uh, the Nina and the Pinta that's coming through Albany, New York, and it's there now?" And so I looked at the sky map, the map of the universe. And I said, well, yeah, they're supposed to be there. This is when the ship is right there. And they asked me what I was talking about, so I showed them on the map of the universe, which this is the map of the universe. And we've shown this a couple of times in different teachings. Yes, the Indians can still read sky maps. But right here is the ship. And this is called the Argo. I don't want to spill any coffee over there. But this ship is upside down, so I'm going to turn it around just a little bit so hopefully we can see that ship better. You can see that ship. That's called the Argo. Jason and the Argonauts. And that's about stealing children. The movie is about stealing children. The golden fleece is the symbol for the sun children. And he has to steal the children. Now in the movie, the king sees the Argo ship pretending that it's leaving, so he goes, "Oh, well, it's festival. I'm gonna go take a nap. I was just on alert while he was here, so I'm just gonna relax and let's party. Let's have." If you ever see that movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But that's also after the summer solstice is where that ship is. That summer solstice is about the sun children, and the ship is about stealing the sun children, because after the summer solstice peaks, it starts going to its winter home, which is also called when the sun turns its back, or when the father turns his back. That's when the children are stolen and put on the Argo. But this is also the Columbus ships, the Nina and the Pinta. So these young men asked me if I would go and help them. If you've been around me in certain situations, I talk pretty tough, I guess you would say. And I told him, I said, well, when you get there, and I'll go with you, but this is the best time to stop them, because you're right broadside of where that ship is in the map of the universe. So this is the best time to hit that ship if you're going to do this. And of course, they wanted me to go with them. So I said, as soon as we're done with this protection detail, we'll go straight there. And we did, and we made it there. Right when the Nina was and the Nina and the Pinta were pulling in. So I got with the young men, and they said that we have to stop this ship. We don't want it coming through our territories. And this is the Iroquois territory, the Mohawk territories. That ship had no permission to come through there. So when we got there, we talked to the other people and said, okay, we got to stop this. And there was other tribes there. I think the Oneida and some Seneca there. So the young men all got in canoes. There was a group of people. Everybody got in canoes and went upriver to where the black ships are. And these ships were painted jet black. And they were on the water. So that's also called Black Water Mercenaries. It's a mercenary group. Columbus ships are a mercenary group. So they're coming up to the ship. And while they're taking the canoes up, I take the car with a couple of people. I mean, other people were driving, I was riding. We got up on the top where the restaurant was, but there's a dock that goes down to where the ships are. And I come up, and I'm, just at the top. And this guy comes up, and he says, "Who are you?" And I tell him, and I said, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm the captain of this area. This is my landing area." And I said, "Oh, your landing area. Okay." And so he kind of talked about where he got his title and where he got his permission to call this his area. And he didn't have that permission. But those ships were down at the loading dock, and people were going on it, paying a fee to go and walk on the ships and come back down. And these people didn't understand that this is a predator ship. This is a mercenary group that's coming through, and that they're going to be taking people. This is what this was designed to do. So let me just to let you know and show you the proof of this. Here is whenever we got there. These are some of the youth and some of the warriors that needed my help. They asked me because they had just regular clothes on, and I said, "Well, if you're going to do this, you need to represent your people, and I have a couple extra ribbon shirts if you would like to have them or wear them at that time." But I eventually gave it to them, and they said yes. And these are two other warriors who that blue shirt is a water ceremony ribbon shirt given to me by a clan mother for helping in that area, who also wanted me to be their war chief. So we're on that dock. Well, actually, I'm still up on top, and there's a big crowd going on, and people are still going through there. The Indians are kind of like pushed to the side because there's a chief there, not a hereditary chief, a corporate chief, and there's a big difference. So this guy is trying to talk about the doctrine of discovery instead of stopping that ship from coming through the territory. So these young men were waiting and looking for me because, of course, I was talking all the way through there about what they needed to do. So they're all looking for me, and they're on the dock. Here's a picture of them on the dock with other people, other nations, some European, some mixed. But everyone knew that this was not a sanction by any tribe for this Columbus ships and then Pina to come through the territories of the Iroquois at that time. So I'm listening to the guy's radio. He says we're having some problems and altercations down here. Can you get a hold of like the Coast Guard? And so they was about to have them forcibly removed from their own territories, from their own land, by force, so that they could come through like they did before. So when I heard that, I said, well, I got to go. And I said, I'll be right back. I said, well, I got to go. So I walked down those stairs and walked all the way down to where the captain was. And these young men, I got with them and started talking to them. And he said, the group of young men said they're not going to stop. They're going to push through. And this other chief right here is trying to cut a deal with them. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And they said, we have to stop the ship. I said, well, okay, let's stop the ship. And they said, well, how are we going to do that? I said, well, everybody's going up that plank. All we have to do is get in front of that plank and hold that ground. And that'll back up the entire line and no one will proceed. So I looked at the captain while he was talking to the other corporate chief. And I said, you're gonna dock this ship and we're going to come inspect it whenever we have time to inspect this ship. So dock your ship. And he said, okay, we'll dock it. And just as soon as that happened, I started walking off because it's supposed to be docked. But that corporation chief come up like he didn't hear anything I said. And he said, I want to talk about this doctrine of discovery again, which that is null and void. It's an illegal document anyway. It should never have been brought up. But he also didn't have that education. He is also of that residential. So those two walked off and they went up to the restaurant, up to that area. So these young men were saying, he just overrid you. He just, went over your head. And so I said, all right, well, you still want to stop this ship? They said, yeah. I said, all right. And then they said, are you going to do this with us? I said, yeah. I said, I'll stand right in the middle. You stand on the left, you stand on the right. Don't let anybody by. And they said, okay, we'll do it. I said, all right, well, let's go. So I walked over. And I'm standing right in the middle of where everyone would walk up. The guy on the left, he's also on blocking that railway. The guy in the blue, it was a tight fit, but he was right there to make sure nobody, because people were still trying to get in between us and try to go around us. And we said, no, it's closed. Nobody's coming through. So we backed everything up, and there was people backed up quite a ways. And we held the ground. And we didn't let anybody through. Peacefully. And there was people screaming every racist name you could think of at us. And people come up trying to start fights. But we held our peace. But we said, this is closed. It's not going any further. We held it for about an hour. Coast Guard's coming. People with shiny shoes, white shirts, sunglasses are starting to show up at the dock. Some of the people are starting to drum and sing songs. And we were saying, spiritually, we need to sing songs to spiritually tell the children to get off the ship, to come back to your people. So they were singing songs, and they were saying, in the languages, they were saying, come back to us, children, come back. This is the way. Listen to the song. Follow the song. Follow the voice. And so we held that for at least an hour until that corporation chief come down with the captain and other people and saying, I've made a deal with them that we're going to let them go through and that we're going to meet them at the next port. And then we're going to have our say. And we said, what did you just do? And he said, we're going to have our say at the next one, at the next port. And I said, and this was not my area. This was not my territory. This was their territory. Not that one's, but those young warriors I was with. And I said, well, this is your area. I'm just here to help you. We got them stopped. You have to keep that stoppage. And then that other corporation chief said, I've got it. We talked about it. We're going to meet at the next port. So they sold us out right there in front of everybody. Now at that next port, that chief got to talk at the park, not at the port. He was pushed to the side, and nobody even heard that speech or whatever he was going to say. But those young men who canoed with that chief at that time, I don't know if he's even still alive today, but they had used some of their canoes to go upriver with them as a show of unity of all these nations, the Iroquois, Oneida, Seneca, Tuscarora. They may have been there. I'm not sure about the Tuscarora because Tuscaroras are also a fake tribe. It's not a real tribe. It's people who went there, joined up with the Iroquois, and they made them into named Tuscarora tribe. So they're not a real tribe. So these young men, didn't get back in their canoes. They pushed those canoes out, and they said, we're not going back with y'all. Y'all sold us out. So they had to um, pull those other canoes, and some people tried to maneuver by themselves because that was their canoes, and they was going to take them all back. But all of us, we walked up the dock and out, and we left. But we said, we've been sold out again by these corporation chiefs. But the only thing we can do is warn the people downriver, let them know what's coming. And if you look at Facebook at that time, Indians were talking to Indians all the way to Oklahoma to stop this, to protest it, to protect their areas, protect their lands. Here's a picture of one of the next stops. And it says Nina da Pinta, America's first illegal aliens. There's another young lady over by the plank where everybody is walking up, ignoring the protests, ignoring the Indians. Indians are keeping their peace, but people are just walking past them like it's just a daily event, which in some of those territories with the racism it is. But people were protesting the atrocities of the Columbus and the history, the vile history of the invasion. No rights, no titles, not from us. But that ship made it all the way to Oklahoma, following the path, which I stopped in Arkansas and wrote a letter, but I used symbols because the first languages are with symbols. If you write a handwritten note to the Queen or the King or the Vatican, you're a slave. You're writing in a modern day language. That means you don't know your history. So I wrote all of mine in symbols. One went to the Vatican, one went to the Queen, and one went to France, to their king. And we're saying you're not welcome here and to go back and never return. And that was written in symbols. I should have found that symbol paper because I still have it. But that's a legal or a lawful, not illegal, but that's a lawful document that they're supposed to adhere to because it's written in symbols. It's not written in a slave language. It's not written with a black ink pen. It's written in symbols with the colors of each of their colors so that they understood it. Now, the Vatican and the powers that were at that time, they understand the symbols. They understand that language. But to a regular person, they may write, "Dear who and so, we don't want you." They're just going to wad that up and say, "That's from a slave. I ain't got time to read that." Or it won't even reach them. But a symbol document with a stamp or your symbol that represents you as that person writing it, that has to be adhered to. But we were sold out there. Now, today, we are remembering all of the residential school children. It's not, now, if they're adults, it's because they were raised in that residential school to be, of age, which is not like 18. You were still a slave at 16, 15, whatever. And you were sent back to your community to be the next chief, to be on the council, to be part of that tribal police force, because they were taught to, through their own racism, to hate their own people and to sign documents. They were taught how to sign the documents that are put in front of them. And that money that you can be awarded, that you can be given things for your signature, for you selling things to them that they have no right to, And no chief has that right to sell land or give rights to anyone in a territory. But these residential ones, and if anyone that looks at this, you can see those chiefs' history, who their parents are, their great parents, and they're coming from that residential school. And those are the ones who are predatory chiefs also. They cover up a lot of things. They cover up a lot of the funds that are missing. And you're going to see them with a lot more than everybody else. When a chief is supposed to be taking care of the people or helping the people or training or teaching the people to be better and not to be of the predator society. Today we remember the ones who were taken, remember the ones who were who didn't come home, the ones who are in the graves at these residential schools. There is no reason for any school to have a mass graveyard, which they're finding today. The Pope has already been charged. Kevin Arnett, if you ever look at the charges Kevin Arnett brought up against the Vatican and of Francis, the new one, those charges are there. But then they're also getting protection by the predator society when they're supposed to be capturing and imprisoning these predators. They're getting paid to protect them. And if you see any pope over here, that's illegal and they're supposed to be arrested on site. But they'll have a travelcade of paid off, um, not a peace officer, but a police force that won't let you get close enough or will harm you or shoot you or kill you, murder you for trying to arrest this pedophile, right? The human trafficker. So if you get time, look up Kevin Arnett and the charges on Francis. That charge, and it's a world charge that anyone in the world is supposed to be trying to capture this person, but also being protected by a force. So our children were taken. This is a long history to where we are now today. We, they're still finding graves. Some children are still being brought home from those graves. There's still burials and ceremonies for those young people, but they're still being found. And these mass graves, it's not one and one and one and one. It's all pushed into one grave, one huge grave of massive amounts of children. And this is what we're remembering today. We don't want to forget that this is a predator system, that our children, our generations have been taken, have been destroyed, have been tried or have been tried to be forgotten. But we can't let this be forgotten.
Even now, there's the Highway of Tears.
And the Highway of Tears, yes, that's happening right now also. The RCMP are capturing Indians, raping them, taking them or making them bloody, and taking them out to what is called the Highway of Tears and dropping them off where there are predator Bigfoots and predator hybrids out there. And they're bloody. They've got the raped scent, and they're left in the middle of the dark, and these predators come out and just grab them. It's happening in Farmington, New Mexico. I've talked with people there. They said the officers will take them way out to the forest area, and they know things are out there. And they have one guy who made it back that I talked to said he had to run all the way back to town because he knew there was something out there trying to get to him or track him. And he was lucky that, and he was still in trauma about that also.
And this brings to mind the history that we do know of. In Nazi Germany, some citizens passed on information about their neighbors, family, and friends to the Gestapo. This was called informing. Nazi propaganda presented the Gestapo as an omnipresent, all-seeing, all-knowing group, but in reality there was just one secret police officer for approximately every 10,000 citizens of Nazi Germany. The Gestapo were therefore reliant on a network of thousands of informants. It was people turning on their own people.
And we're not saying an entire race is bad, or this entire race is bad, or that entire race is bad. But we are saying there's predators that are hiding within the good people. There are people today that still try to apologize for the atrocities that happened. But they can't apologize for what someone else did. The only thing they can do is live in peace with us. Peace is the most beautiful thing when you don't have to worry about someone trying to hurt you or trying to take something from you. Someone who would rather share with you than see you do without. So we're not saying a whole race is bad.
Mm-mm.
We're saying there are predators using the good people. When an officer overlooks money being taken or someone being hurt, they're using that person because people will say, oh, that person's a great person. But when he overlooks, that puts him in that predator situation.
Lukewarm people.
Lukewarm people. There are people who would change it if they could change it. But the history has already been done. It is history. We know that. But please don't ask us to get over something like that. Things are still happening, not only to our race, not only to our people. It's happening to your people. You may not be in that situation. You may not be in that abuseful situation. You may not be in that pedophile situation. You may not be trafficked or in the human trafficking ring. But there are people who are. You may not have been taught that. You may not have seen things like that. But it is happening. I would consider you the lucky one, the lucky family that hasn't had that happen to.
Yes, yeah.
If it hasn't happened to someone in your family, if you don't have a missing person from your family. And that's why we do what we do with our tracking. We will go into the dark. We will go into the night to find you. But we didn't misplace you. We didn't force you to run into the woods or to avoid a situation. But we will put ourselves in that situation to find you.
There's a poem that most of you probably heard but may have forgotten. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And that's by Martin Niemöller, a German pastor.
So when you see tribes wearing the orange, when you see friends of the Indian people wearing the orange, don't look down on them. They're remembering the atrocities. They're acknowledging that this did happen. And if they're wearing orange, then they're saying, we hear you, we understand, but it's not us. We're your friends. We will keep our peace. And that's why I went to Honduras and all those areas, to let them know we will keep our peace with you if you keep your peace with us. It's not about getting revenge. It's not about trying to hurt somebody for what they did in the past. It's about coming together, working together, so this doesn't happen. so it doesn't continue to happen. Looking out for each other, forgetting to know, I mean, to know your neighbor. So many of these things go unnoticed because we don't know um, the good people. Some people are too nervous to even meet new people because a lot of people are predators and they've been waiting for you to make that contact.
Don't get offended if someone doesn't want to celebrate the traditional Thanksgiving holiday with you. We love the idea of giving thanks and gratitude, and that meal happens to be one of our favorite meals.
Mm-hmm.
But on that day,
We don't.
it's not a day that we want to participate in. We want to do it a different day as
Yeah.
far as the gathering together and the gratitude. And it is wonderful. People in November start, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, all the way through the month. We should be doing that every day. But now you'll understand more why, and not just go, oh, get over it.
And once you put yourself in that situation of your child being taken, your child being raped, your child being trafficked, your child being beat, arms, hands tied, beaten every day, kind of understand that we don't want that for you either. We don't want that for your children. And there's the motto, every child matters. And we're not just talking about our children. We're talking about every child matters.
Like you were talking earlier, in the Scottish, they, just different groups around the world. It's not just one group. It's predators, vessels of darkness, uh, agents of darkness versus
Yeah, it's not just,
vessels of hope. It's
yeah.
God's children versus.
And don't think that just our children went through this. Your ancestors, your the every race that's been over here or still here, you've went through this. Your ancestors have went through this also. It's not just ours.
Even the Hawaiian land grab with the start and the fire is in, like, if there are resources in an area and these rich psychos want those, they will cause a problem that'll cause everyone to be pushed off of that land so they can swoop in and buy it up.
To think one is higher than the other. And like Lee Tracker was talking about, we're talking like, some Scottish people will be racist about the Irish, and there'll be a racist against Italians. There'll be a racist against. It's just to divide everybody up so they can control each group. Don't let that happen. Don't find racism funny. When people cut jokes up,
When they say things like Indian giver,
let them know that's offensive.
yeah, savages.
And then there's the other saying of something about how could they be comfortable with you, to say certain things. I forgot.
Yeah, don't tell me what they're saying about me. Tell me why you were sitting there while they were talking, saying these things. Why are they so comfortable telling you all these things about me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with the entire race. Why are they so comfortable with telling you these racist jokes or pointing at another race? Or
like, if somebody tells you one little thing somebody said about you, that's fine. But if they got a whole long list, then they sat there a long time listening to that.
Yeah.
That's, you question that person, side eye that person.
Mm-hmm. Like us, if anybody says anything that is a good, about someone who's a good friend of ours, we're like, we don't want to hear that.
Yeah, they're not here to defend themselves.
Yeah. So why don't you go talk to them about what you're saying? Don't talk to us about it. But you want to take some comments?
Sure.
We'll do some comments, and then we'll close for the night. But tonight was about respect for each other. It's not just our children who went through this. Everyone has some atrocity that your family has went through.
Some predator trying to take their things,
and
take their history, take their land.
And it's still going on today.
Your children.
Your children are still being taken. It's not just our children disappearing. Every race has children missing,
Our children are still being programmed in the schools.
to be racist against each other when no one is above each other. And being a child of God, God doesn't want everyone hurting each other and trying to maim and kill and do all this to each other. Didn't put us here for that. We have an enemy. We have Satan as an enemy. We have one enemy
Yeah,
that we're all supposed to be
resisting,
resisting and dealing with and
not pretending
Getting
we
out of
don't
our-
see.
um,
CT, you've been working hard translating. Thank
let's
you.
see.
The name of the dictionary is the Black's Law Dictionary.
Black's Law Dictionary. I actually had one a long time ago.
BLACK' Law Dictionary.
Hey, Elastic Machinery.
Hey, Elastic Machinery says, hey, y'all gonna listen in the background. Good.
And let's lighten things up. Again.
Yes,
Let's
yes.
lighten it back up because
Yeah.
we said what we needed to say. So now let's not let it go, but let's lighten the load. Let's lighten this up.
Yeah, and
The
you
truth.
understand why if you saw people wearing orange today, that was why.
And the energy, we want to change it back to good energy. We're proud to know a majority of y'all out there. Most of you are our friends. And like we said, we know that everyone has went through this in some way
Or their ancestors.
or their
have.
ancestors. So it's not just affecting us, but today is when the Native Americans have chosen to remember. And that's what we're doing also. But we're sharing some truths about that memory.
Yeah. Did you want to talk anything about the standing wall? I was thinking you had something to say about
No.
standing wall too. Not this time.
Okay, so let's go back through here.
There with JR.
JR.
Says in the university Native American history class I had was taught that by the time of the U.S. Cavalry, the Native American population was already decimated 90% by smallpox and other foreign diseases.
And that's just like that jab that they're giving people today. If you want to know if the government will use,
Yeah. Go ahead.
what's it called? Germ warfare,
Yeah.
ask us. Yes, they will. They will decimate you to get if they want you out of the way, like this whole eliminating the majority of the people here. Yes, they will use this to eliminate you, not just the Indians. And when other people get affected by this, we say that's friendly fire because they were aiming to wipe out more Indians.
I don't know. Will this show up in reverse? I don't know if this will show up in reverse or.
Says
tell?
the government.
It says, turn in your weapons. The government will take care of you.
Turn in your weapons. The government will take care of you. And they will. And like we said, not all
Yeah, they'll
people
take care of you, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said, not all people are that way, but there are people in there who are predators, and those are the ones who don't mind hurting you or saying racist things to you or joking in the lunchroom or wherever. Listen to what they're saying and you'll find out exactly who they are.
And the peace officers will find, I don't know if you said that or not already, there will come a time when they'll be gathered up too after they do the work of helping herd people.
Yep.
Their families will also be, they're not going to be part of that force. And I think just about everyone in here is a Bible reader and a believer. We know those days will come. Don't be part of those lukewarm people that, don't be fooled into being a wolf.
Yeah, don't let yourself be fooled because once they push all those people into the FEMA camp, abuse them, they're going to take the weapons from the jailers from the people who helped them and put them in there too.
Yeah. Uh,
JR says,
I've been taught that Black's Law Dictionary 5th edition is the one to use. It was perverted in later editions. That's good knowledge.
yeah,
Thank you, JR. So if you can get your hands on one of those, get one. If you can get your hands on two, send us one.
yeah,
And also, you said the Bouvier Dictionary.
yeah, yeah.
That goes even. That's the one that they really use. Jamie says, "Going to look that up." He's talking about the predators.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, CT.
Again,
You are
still continuing.
Thank you so much. And thank everybody for listening and not starting conversations, but we will see what we got here.
Elastic Machinery says the Queen was wanted by the Canadian government too while she was alive. Thousands of infant corpses found in Canadian boarding school septic tanks.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Just like the Pope, he's got a warrant on his head.
Mm-hmm. Elastic Machinery says, I never understood how Americans can accept Aboriginals in Canada and Mexico and yet believe Native Americans can't look black. It's impossible for blacks to all have been brought from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And says, not meaning to interrupt or distract, just a quick comment at how blind everyone is today because of TV.
Yeah,
Yes.
Everyone's being taught to be this way.
Yeah.
By the TV, the iPods, things like that.
Yeah. Elastic Machinery says, back to quietly listening again. Great episode. Thank you. And we had a little more freedom in this one tonight anyway. Thank you.
That's Kevin Arnett is 2 R's. ARR.
Or is it 2 T's?
Or maybe it's 2 T's.
ARNETTE.
Mm-hmm.
War Chief says, thank you, Lead Horse Choctaw, for the correct history recollection, Brother Warrior.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
And says, yes, it is through the, we won't say the word, pandemonium with the mRNA vaccines, and trying not to say the word just because they use any excuse to remove a truth.
Yeah. And
thank you, Laura, for good transmission tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. And all that's happening today.
Yeah. Cube says, Hallie Toe, Jerry, Lead Horse Williams, and Lead Tracker E just got in. Battle axe ready. We all must speak for the truth always. And he knows about, Cube is in Australia and knows firsthand the frustrations of being disarmed.
Yeah.
For the predators,
to
make it easy for the predators to attack.
To herd people up.
And we're talking everything from Bigfoots to predator humans.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie says, thank you, Jerry, for sharing. And says, yes, that's true. War Chief says, Satan has been and continues to be working overtime these days. Absolutely, and it'll only intensify.
Satan never they don't take a day off.
But, we've been warned. And really everything that happens that's biblical should encourage us, not discourage us, because we know we've got the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Stick with the truth.
Cube says, fully agree, War Chief, and we also continue to stand up for truth. Tracker A says, I'm going to get the journals passed down in my family for y'all to interpret. Jerry and Lead Tracker E, my family has told me a lot of what you've just shared with us. Thank you for sharing. Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. What a treasure. War Chief says, this has been a great symposium for truth tonight.
Thank you, Truth. War Chief. Oh, Cubinator.
Thank you, Q.
Cubinator, thank you so much.
CT is mentioned in the Black's Law Dictionary. It says it's very important. Jody says, thank you for such a beautiful and inspiring evening. Good. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you.
Todd Calloway. Glad to see you.
All right, Todd. Good.
Says, thank you, Jerry and Ella. We're looking forward to that phone call soon.
Mm-hmm.
Tracker Lorna says, thank you to both of you for sharing the truth.
More than welcome.
Thank y'all for being here. Cube says, yep, that's what the Howard government of 1996 said to the armed Australians. Look at us now.
You're right.
Cube says, Bible reading and fully believing Christians. Yes, Ella, correct.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamie says, Jerry, an illegal Chinese biolab busted here in Northern California. The coof specks and rats more specks.
Wow.
Hmm.
And
We hadn't heard. We don't get the regular news, so.
And it's to kill people. It's right there in the backyard. El Casa de la Papa de Kevin Arnett. See.
And War Chief says, this has been great, great, great. See you Thursday.
All right. Oh. I was about to say, what's Thursday?
Oh, no.
The Thursday is when
We'll see you Thursday.
we will see you Thursday. This was one of those things that we just
Spur of the moment.
and had to make sure that people had the correct information and explain why the orange is being worn on every September the 30th.
It's even on even some of the artwork on some of the native, like the Trail of Tears. Even the artwork, even though it's beautiful, beautiful artwork, it's explain how you said the other day. It's inaccurate of how it went. They weren't just all sweetly dressed, nicely dressed, and it was a torturous thing. We were talking about it the other day. Not now. Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay.
But here's also a quick few photos we want to show you. There's never supposed to be graveyards at a school. Never.
Yeah. And even some of the convents have mass graves under and inside the walls.
And this one says every child matters. No matter the race, no matter the background, our children matter.
And I would say every adult matters too.
And every adult matters also. And this is to spread the awareness that these atrocities happen.
We're orange. And we thank you to everyone that did today.
And some families will tell you they're here because their mother survived or their father survived what they went through so that they're here today. And then today is the National Day of Remembrance for U.S. Indian boarding schools.
And you'll hear some more stories about that in our 3-part series. Don't forget to check that out on what I'll put the link in the comments. You'll hear some.
Yeah. And there's still bodies being found today. There was a big search going on, but it kind of died down because a lot of people get distracted by small things and don't stay focused. But there are still being graves found at these residential schools. Some of these bodies are being sent back to the tribe, but it's so hard to pinpoint because the parents were killed to get those children, and they have no one to return to, so the tribes are reburying whoever they find that is getting to come home. But we don't want anyone's children coming home in boxes. And these things did happen. And some of these things are still happening today. So
give us just a second.
Give us just a second.
This in there.
Give us just a second, please. Mischievous. Lots of thumbs up. Thank you. Tracker Lorna saying thank you. Hello. Cubaner says, "Oh, I'm guessing no tracker meeting tomorrow night." Yes, we will have a tracker meeting tomorrow night. We're still on schedule, and we
For our students, the next two for the online tracking course, the next two classes will be recording only.
Yeah.
You'll still get the information, but it won't be live.
And we did do a preview of what we're going to be giving the class on the tracking and things that we're going to be looking for and how we track in the field and things like that. So we did do a preview. We don't have a link on here, but it's on YouTube. I think it says preview Warrior Tracker Training Candidate course. So if you haven't seen that, check it out, because that's just a preview of a little bit of what we're going to be sending you on Thursday for that course.
The playlist for what the Indians say about Bigfoot is in the description, in the chat right now, if you want to grab that link, and it's a playlist on this channel.
And War Chief says, many died on the Trail of Tears. Yes, and some of these things are just kind of irritating me, because the chief of this tribe is saying that we volunteered to walk on that trail, which we didn't volunteer. We were backstabbed by Jackson at that time. After we helped win that battle in the Gulf, then while we're being depleted, then they brought in more troops and captured us, just like we're talking about with the FEMA camps. They're going to take the weapons and put those people in the FEMA camps too, just like they did us. History will repeat itself if they don't listen. But the Trail of Tears is nothing like the beautiful pictures that I've been seeing lately, with people with enough gear, good clothing and shoes. That didn't happen. And those people are trying to distort the true history.
Even that story today you read, it was a modern story of the I don't know if it was a male or a female, but their grandmother had bought them the beautiful, or made them the orange shirt. They were excited about their first day to go to boarding school.
Yeah.
They didn't know that it would be taken up immediately. They were so proud of that shirt, and it was taken up immediately, and that was just like a bad sign of things to come. They didn't understand. So every time they see orange, they remember that day as the beginning of their trauma in the boarding school.
And
Miss Shivo, that's a new name.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Jamie is saying good night to myself and Elite Tracker E. And War Chief says, yes, there will be a meeting. Yes, of course. We got some things we got to talk about too, about the last two scouts that we did, last two tracking. And Jamie's saying good night to everybody also. And War Chief is thumbs up. And here's that link Lead Tracker he was talking about. And then Cubinator is saying, thank you, Lead Tracker E. Is this a different playlist? Oh, here's the playlist. Tracker Lorna is saying, God bless everyone.
Don't forget, if you don't have this book, get this book. Available also in Spanish on Amazon. The Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path. And I'll let you read that.
La Grande, el de Predator y el Sendero del Guerrero Espiritual.
So also available in Spanish on Amazon. And if you do purchase the book, or if you have purchased it and not put in a review, please go do that, because that also helps the book to get, they'll push it more if there's more reviews. So just like this channel, if you haven't hit like, please do so. And thank you to everyone. We'll go ahead and say our prayer. Thank you all so very much. And we'll say our prayer so everybody can go. And thank you for joining us on very short notice. Thank you, Lord, for just bringing attention to all these things. Thank you for protecting the people who you have protected. Thank you for helping those who have grieved over those that have been lost. And just thank you, Lord, that you always, always find a way to turn things that were meant to harm your children. You find a way to turn them to good. We thank you for that. We ask your blessings over everyone that's viewing this now and everyone that'll view it in the future, Lord. We pray that you just help our channel to grow so that we can get more information out to people, if that be your will. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Everybody have a good night, and we will see y'all again very soon. And good night to everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Appreciated everyone being here.
God bless you all.
Good night, Warriors.
Good night, Warriors.
Are we moving?
So beautiful.
Are we moving?
So weird. The effect's not quite the same on film. So we're on our way in a snowstorm to go try to find someone that's lost in the woods. You'll say a prayer.